Hi students, this is a video to tell you how to make some of your ellipsis and brackets work in quotes. So the ellipsis, you might affectionately call it a dot dot dot, and a brackets looks like this. It's not a parentheses, but they're square. You probably have seen ellipsis, you probably have seen a brackets, but you might not be sure how to use them, and this is how you're going to use them. So here's how you use the ellipsis. Say you have a quote, for example, the company is known to have many problems, which include low wages for workers, no insurance options, legal issues, and usage of child labor. Say you don't need all of that. You're trying to cut your quote down, and maybe you're saying like this part, no insurance options, and legal issues isn't really important to what you're talking about. Maybe you're just talking about the social issues, which would be low wages and child labor. So if you want to take out the part where it says no insurance options and legal issues, you can do that, but you would put in a dot, 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 an ellipsis. So you take your original sentence, the company is known to have many problems which include low wages for workers, and in that part you put a dot, 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 actually we don't need that comma either, dot, 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 and then you connect it with the next part. And so your new sentence looks like this. The company is known to have many problems which include low wages for workers and usage of child labor. So this ellipsis shows the reader that there was something there, and we know it was this part, but that you took it out of the quote. So you are allowed to do that as long as you put in the ellipsis between it. It does have to follow the natural flow of the sentence, so you can't rearrange things. It has to be something that's just taken out. And if you need to cut out more than just a couple of words, several sentences, that's also okay to do. So brackets are used when you want to change a word in the sentence that's already there, not change the meaning of it, but change it to another word that makes sense as you're making the quote, or something simpler for the reader to understand, or you need to add a word. So let me show you what this would look like. In this sentence, it says, the patient had a myocardial infarction. She also had a seizure. So you might be looking at this going, I have no idea what this word means. So let's say you look it up and you learn that that word, myocardial infarction, really means a heart attack. Okay, so what you would do is you would take that word heart attack and you would replace myocardial infarction, and your sentence would then read, the patient had a bracket, heart space attack, bracket, and then you would continue with your period, if that's the end of what you wanted to say. She also had a seizure. You could continue if you needed to. But say you wanted to shorten it even more, and you want to take out the words she also had, and you want to include a seizure, but you want to change it to maybe something like, let's take this part out, and we're going to change this to and, so your new sentence can read, the patient had a heart attack and a seizure. Done. So your new sentence can read, the patient had a bracket, heart attack and bracket, a seizure. And the reason that these two can go together, heart attack and this one, is because they are back to back. You don't need to do something like this. You don't need to say heart attack and seizure. If they're back to back, you can combine the whole thing. And so you would need to put those two separately. And it could just look like that. The patient had a heart attack and a seizure. And you haven't changed the meaning. That's why it's okay to do this. So the original idea is still intact. The patient had a heart attack and a seizure is still the main idea of this sentence up here. So you can use a brackets in a sentence or an ellipsis, and you could even use them in the same sentence if it works. So one more example of this is if you're trying to say she plays first base, but you actually can't say she, you need to put the person's name in there. You might say Beth or whoever you're speaking about, plays first base. She's been playing for 3 years, comma, but she can also play catcher. Say you don't need this part, and you do need the second part, but she can also play catcher. But doesn't seem right for your sentence, so maybe you want to say and instead, which is just another connector, and that's okay to do. So your new sentence might say, Beth plays first base, because we are cutting out all of this. We have to include the ellipsis. So you put the ... there. And then you start in with your and. She can also play catcher. So now you see that we have this bracket that took the place of that, and this bracket that took the place of that, but because we cut this whole chunk out, we still need to put this ellipsis in. So another way to think about this is, what if you wanted to say Beth plays first base and she also plays, but there's no S on that, plays catcher. You could do it like this. You would write Beth, because that's still in bracket, plays first base, still use your ellipsis, still use your and she. Now this is where the change occurs, because in your original sentence we don't want can, but we do want the word also. So if we're going to cut out this word can, we would need to put another ellipsis in there. So it would look like this. Beth plays first base, ... and she ... also plays, but we're going to make this change here, plays. We have to add an S. So since we're adding something, the S goes in brackets, catcher. So it looks like this at the bottom. Beth plays first base, ... bracket, and she ... also play catcher. Now it doesn't make sense to say play catcher, so if we want to change this word by adding an S, it looks like that. So you'll see that you would write P-L-A-Y bracket S bracket. So it says plays. Now I wrote mine tiny because it didn't fit, but actually it would look just like this in your writing. So you put your period there, and your new sentence, when you type it in, would look like this. And that's a combination of brackets, ellipsis, brackets, another ellipsis, another brackets to make your new sentence.